Iran vows vengeance after the assassination of Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah. Tyrone Bowman live. Welcome to the program on this Saturday afternoon, bringing you an update on what's happening within the Middle East crisis. IDF says Southern Front Commander Ali Karki and other senior leaders were killed in bombing of Beirut headquarters as fears grow of spiraling conflict. So let's get down to the essence of this story and find out what's happening in this war. According to The Guardian, Iran's supreme leader has warned Israel that its assassination of Hezbollah's veteran leader Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah will not, quote, go unavenged, close quote, as fears of a spiraling conflict in the Middle East grow. As the shock waves from Friday evening's airstrike that killed Nasrallah reverberated through the region and Israel continued to pound targets in Lebanon, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei announced 5 days of official mourning on Saturday and called for an urgent meeting of the 57-member Organization of Islamic Cooperation. Israel's security forces were also put on high alert for possible retaliation as experts warned the region was facing several scenarios following the killing, including the risk of a widening war that could draw Iran, Hezbollah's main backer, into a direct conflict with Israel. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said on Saturday that the killing of Nasrallah was a historical turning point that could change the balance of power in the Middle East, though he warned, quote, of challenging days, close quote, ahead. Nasrallah was not a terrorist, he was the terrorist, Netanyahu said in a statement, quote, unquote. Nasrallah's killing was a necessary step toward achieving the goals we have set, returning residents of the North safely to their homes and changing the balance of power in the region for years to come, quote, close quote. U.S. President Joe Biden called Nasrallah's assassination, quote, a measure of justice for his many victims, including thousands of Americans, Israelis, and Lebanese civilians, close quote, as he ordered the Pentagon to enhance America's defense posture in the region. Biden added that the U.S., quote, fully supports Israel's right to defend itself against Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis, and any other Iranian-supported terrorist groups, close quote. He added, however, quote, in Gaza, we have been pursuing a deal backed by the UN Security Council for a ceasefire and the release of hostages. In Lebanon, we have been negotiating a deal that would return people safely to their homes in Israel and southern Lebanon. It is time for these deals to close, for the threats to Israel to be removed, and for the border Middle East region to gain greater stability, close quote. But other world leaders expressed fears over Nasrallah's assassination. The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said he was, quote, gravely concerned, close quote, over the, quote, dramatic escalation, end quote, in Lebanon, joining others in warning of the danger of destabilization. Germany said that the killing of the longtime Hezbollah leader could have negative repercussions for Israel's own security. In a TV interview, its foreign minister, Annalena Baerbock, said the highly dangerous situation after Nasrallah's death threatened destabilization for the whole of Lebanon, adding, there is no way in Israel's security interest, close quote. Nasrallah, who led Hezbollah for more than 3 decades, was killed by Israel in a series of strikes on the group's underground headquarters in Dihai, a southern suburb of Beirut. The Israel Defense Forces, known as the IDF, announced his death on Saturday morning, and Hezbollah confirmed the news later in the days, saying Nasrallah had joined his fellow martyrs. It added that the group would continue the holy war against the enemy and in support of Palestine. The statement, however, did not mention who would succeed Nasrallah or how the group will respond to the assassination. Gunfire could be heard across Beirut on Saturday afternoon as mortars fired in the air to commemorate his death, and fears grew over further escalation in the region nearly a year after the Hamas attacks of 7 October began the Gaza war. Israel continued airstrikes on Lebanon on Saturday, saying that it hit a Hezbollah target in Beirut's southern suburbs. While Hezbollah said it had fired rockets at Israel, the Israeli military also said it had intercepted a missile fired from Yemen at Tel Aviv in what appeared to be an attack by Houthi rebels shortly after the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu returned from New York. The killing of Nasser Allah marks a major moment in the crisis in the Middle East and threatens to reshape the course of events in the region where he was a significant actor. Israel considers Hezbollah to be one of its most significant assets. Khamenei, who Reuters reported, had been transferred to a secure location inside Iran, had earlier called on Muslims to stand by the people of Lebanon and the proud Hezbollah with whatever means they have and assist them in confronting the wicked regime of Israel, quote, close quote. The U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin told his Israeli counterpart, Yoav Gallant, that the U.S. was determined to prevent Iraq or Iran-backed groups from expanding the conflict that was committed to the defense of Israel. The Pentagon said Russia condemned the killing of Nasser Allah as political murder and called on Israel to stop hostilities in Lebanon. According to sources in Israel, the Israeli Security Cabinet had previously pulled back from plans to kill Nasser Allah, but having established he was due to attend a meeting at the command complex, approved a plan to kill him in an open operation reportedly codenamed New Order. Reports in the Israeli media said the assassination had been carried out by a squadron of F-15 jets equipped with bunker-busting bombs, although Israel refused to comment on claims that were U.S.-supplied Type 84 munitions. The news was initially broken by military spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Nadav Shoshani in a brief post on X saying, quote, Hassan Nasrallah Allah is dead, close quote. In a statement, issued shortly afterwards, the IDF said Nasrallah Allah had been killed, along with Hezbollah's Southern Front commander Ali Karki and other commanders attending the meeting. Following precise intelligence from the IDF and the Israeli security establishment, AIF, Israeli Air Force fighter jets conducted a targeted strike on the central headquarters of the Hezbollah terrorist organization, which was located underground, embedded under a residential building in the Dihai area of Beirut, the statement said. The strike was conducted while Hezbollah's senior chain of command was operating from the headquarters and advancing terrorist activities against citizens of the State of Israel. The Israeli military said it was on high alert and prepared for a wider escalation. Shoshani later predicted that Hezbollah would continue to target Israel. Quote, we've seen Hezbollah carry out attacks against us for a year. It's safe to assume that they are going to continue carrying out their attacks against us or try to, he said. After Israel's announcement, the streets of Beirut emptied. Storefronts in Mazi and Upper Market neighborhood in East Beirut were also mostly closed. The Lebanese army deployed throughout Beirut on Saturday afternoon, standing guard at major intersections throughout the city, probably in anticipation of public reaction. Lines formed at supermarkets as people rushed to buy basic goods such as water and dried foods, while people waited in quays at cash machines. Low-flying Israeli patrol drones buzzed overhead throughout the day. Lebanon's cabinet also announced it would convene for an extraordinary session at 7:30 p.m. local time in response to the events of the last 2 days. In Dahai, one resident told The Guardian, I'm in despair. I don't know what to feel. Other supporters of Hezbollah struck a different tone. Quote, the group will go on. It's not just centered around one leader. Fatima, a resident of Dahai, said from her car in downtown Beirut, where she had been sleeping with her husband, and son since the strikes on the Ha'i started last week. Hassan Nasrallah, the man who led Hezbollah to the brink of war with Israel, the Hezbollah's second in command, Hashim Safadine, who could succeed Nasrallah, was reportedly also targeted in Friday's airstrike. The IDF's chief of staff, Hazi Haivi, said on Saturday that the elimination of Nasrallah's was not the end of our toolbox, indicating that more strikes were planned. He said the strike targeting the Hezbollah leadership was the result of a long period of preparation. The military said it was mobilizing additional reserve soldiers as tensions escalated with Lebanon, activating 3 battalions of reserve soldiers to serve across Israel. It sent 2 brigades to northern Israel earlier in the week to train for a possible ground invasion. Shortly before the strike on Saturday, Netanyahu vowed during a speech at the UN General Assembly to keep fighting in Lebanon, crushing hopes that Israel would agree to a 21-day truce proposed by the U.S. and France. There is no place in Iran that the long arm of Israel cannot reach, and that is true of the entire Middle East, Netanyahu said in New York. Among Hezbollah's constituents, Nasrallah was viewed with a prophet-like favor, seen as the liberator of South Lebanon from Israel's 18-year occupation. At Hezbollah rallies, supporters chant, you know what, I can't even pronounce that. I'm not going to even try to pronounce it. I don't want to mess it up. You know what, I'm going to try to pronounce it. At Hezbollah rallies, supporters chant, Laba'ak Ya Hassan, and Laba'ak Ya Nasra Allah. O Hassan, O Nasra Allah, I am here for you, shouting their devotion to Hassan, a key figure in Shia Islam and Nasra Allah. When Nasra Allah spoke in televised addresses, supporters would tune in for guidance on political, spiritual, and cultural issues. Many Lebanese people attribute the failure of the 2019 revolution to a speech by Nasrallah when he told his supporters it was time to get off the streets, depriving the protest movement of its non-sectarian character. Whoever replaces the enigmatic former Secretary General will have to deal with an organization that over the last years has lost almost every senior military leader and is on the back foot from the Israeli bombing campaign across Lebanon. The death of Nasrallah also throws the fate of the Lebanese state into question. Hezbollah is deeply embedded in the state, controlling a key share of parliament and exercising influence over several ministries, such as the Directorate of General Security. Lebanon's foreign policy is largely dictated by a group, particularly when it comes to neighboring states such as Israel. Hezbollah began firing into Israel one day after Hamas's 7 October attack on the southern Israel that sparked the war in Gaza. Israel in recent days shifted the focus of its operation from Gaza to Lebanon, where heavy bombing has killed more than 700 people and displaced about 118,000. So this is an ongoing developing story. I will keep you updated. For now, I'm Tyrone Bowman. Never surrender, never quit.